Hi, this is Reg Athwal and welcome to Reg Athwal TV. And one of our episodes here is Family Business Experts. And today it's a pleasure to have Uday Shah with us for one of our episodes. Welcome, Uday.
Thanks for having me, Reg. Nice to see you.
Yeah, who's sat there comfortably in Nairobi in Kenya. And we're in Dubai in UAE right now. So for those who've been watching various episodes on our channel, you'll know that we have various show themes, and on Family Business Experts, it's all about people who are already in the family business space or experts that individually support entrepreneurs, first generation entrepreneurs, people with succession planning, maybe they're facilitators, speakers, consultants, and with all of the above, Uday definitely has ticks in most of those boxes. So briefly, a quick introduction for Uday, and then we're going to get into a Q&A with some questions that have come from our network and our community. Uday is a young entrepreneur. He's invested in a petroleum company. He's a certified counselor, coach. He's been on various programs and got certified by people like Bob Proctor in America, and has also been on various certification programs with people like Tony Robbins. I'm sure most of you have heard of that name. And he spends a lot of his time coaching next generation members in family businesses, as well as first generation entrepreneurs running SME type businesses. And I'm really glad to say that he's also a partner with our company, RTS Global Partners. He's our managing partner and representative in East Africa, based out of Nairobi-Kenya. And it's been a pleasure to have a trusted relationship with him now for the last 3-4 years, working closely with clients. And Uday, thanks for taking time to be on this episode. So let's not hang around. Let's get straight into it. People want content, people want value, and by the end of this episode, I want to make sure people are left with 2-3 key things that they can use in their personal life or with their family, with their businesses. So one of the things that you talk about when it comes to coaching is around this thing about building a vision, or having something compelling for the future. Could you expand on that? How does one create a compelling vision, and why is that important?
So first and foremost, thanks a lot for that introduction. It's definitely burnt a few calories with that kind of an expansion. But to answer your question, the process that I have been always educated on and also mentored on, and what I teach a lot of my clients is, when we're trying to create a vision, if you want to apply it to any layman example, we create a shopping list. But a shopping list of not only just how we go to the supermarket and what we want, but what do we want out of life. So if you take some time out on a basic day, on any given day that you want, if you just take a step back from the reality of life and ask yourself what it is that I want to achieve in this lifetime, then that forms the foundation of what it requires for you to be able to set up compelling visions in the future. Because now you've essentially got a list of maybe 20, 30, 40, 50. I mean, personal case studies I've had, there's about 75 points that come up, with the highest that I've had. And out of that, you can select what resonates with you the most, what inspires you the most, and what is linked to a purpose that you want to achieve in your life. So when we ask ourselves what it is we want to achieve, when we create that shopping list, it gives us a vague blueprint of what exactly we want to achieve.
So how does one create that shopping list? Sometimes you can ask people, hey, what's your 5-year vision? What's your 10-year vision? And people go, I don't know. I just want to survive next month, especially with this crisis situation. I just want to make sure that we've got cash flow coming in next month. Forget 5 years.
So again, it boils down to what exactly do you want to achieve. When you have a long-term goal, it keeps you on track with even formulating the 5-year plan. And if you break it down further, then when you ask yourself that how am I going to achieve that vision in the end, you can map out even your survival plan. Because survival ultimately depends on your mindset. As an entrepreneur, there are so many businesses in the world today, yet there are only a 5% or 2% that manage to get out of this kind of a phase, which we call a recession, or there's a, however you want to term it. So mindset, if it's a three-year plan, a 5-year plan, 10-year plan, or if it's a 5-day plan on how you aim to exist over the next 5 days, it all depends on what it is that you want to achieve long term, backed by a compelling purpose.
But what happens if you don't know? So let's say you want to pretend I'm a client, and you ask me about my vision for the future. I just don't know. So how do I create that shopping list?
This is where coaching comes in. This is where mentoring comes in, because the coach is going to inspire you, is going to draw these answers out of you by prompting the questions to be able. Because when we're in a situation where we're so tensed up, if our mind is like a muscle, and we tense our minds up, we're not letting energy flow where we're able to creatively find a solution. So what I would do is, for example, is understand what the situation is as we speak. What is the limitation? And if we're all, if for any of the audiences that are spiritual, they'll understand that in any situation, there's always there's two sides to the coin. So if you look at your situation at the moment, by asking the right questions and focusing on the right areas, you will be able to identify either opportunities or certain areas and aspects of your life that needs work where you can focus your attention to, and train your mind to be able to focus on the potential out of a situation versus the problem. Because the more you focus on problems, on how am I going to survive, where's the money going to come from, I don't have any money, I don't have this, I don't have that, you're focusing on what's lacking in your life at the moment. Whereas high performers, successful entrepreneurs have all been through this stage. We've heard situations of, the Bill Gates and Steve Jobs sleeping in their offices and being broke in times. How do they come out of it? It's linking to the vision backed by a compelling purpose of what I want to achieve, and the mindset that everything that I'm going through right now is all in the now. Yes, it's a drastic change as we speak in terms of what's happening in the world, but there is opportunity out there.
So can I ask you then, you've mentioned the word vision, you've mentioned the word purpose. What is the difference between a vision and a purpose? Are they the same thing? Someone, watching this thinking, oh, I keep, and some people say, oh, have a mission, vision, mission, purpose. What are all these words? What do we need them? Is it important, or is it just, I've got a goal, one thing, boom, Bill Gates, I want to make sure every person in the world has my software, the end.
Yeah. So vision, purpose, mission, they're all linked to the same thing, though they have their differences in their own. If you were to define what a vision is an image that you're holding towards the end result that you want to achieve. A purpose is, why do you want to achieve that? A lot of people approach purpose because, oh, I need to earn money and that's it. I'm going to go 9 to 5, earn money, come back home. But what they don't realize is that if they don't have a purpose that's more compelling than just earning money, then linking it to a current situation now, you will always have scenarios where you'll never be able to get out of a tough situation because you don't have anything beyond the tangible factor of money to push you. And if it goes back to what a mission is basically, what is a company wanting to achieve? How do they want to do it? The organizational, operational aspect of an organization. So I hope that gives a little bit more clarity on it.
So the main thing I'm getting from there is, so the vision is about where, okay,
Yes.
or what you want for the future, but your purpose, or even a mission, is about why.
Absolutely, you got it. So when you say the vision is a blueprint of how you want to go about doing what you're doing, and in what ways are you going to set yourself up. So if you were to use it in terms of a goal, the vision becomes the end result, and we use that as a backtracking. So now connecting the dots in reverse, knowing where we want to go, and it creates a framework of the decisions you make, the choices you make, the strategy that you use to go about your business. If it's to do with even life, as life, we talk about business right now, but from a coaching perspective, I look at working with clients holistically. So, what's your vision for your your personal life. Do you want to achieve optimum weight? Do you want to live a happy life? Do you want to live a fulfilling life? Do you want to live in an ideal home? Do you want to live? Do you want to drive the cars? So vision is a big open bracket scenario where we can, divert and dissect it in as many possibilities as possible. And the purpose is, why do we want to achieve it? So if we link RTS as an example, our vision is to work with XYZ number of clients per year with a total gross income, however we look at it. But what's the purpose behind it? Is we want to add value in creating situations and family structures where there is no room for error for future generations to, one,
Yeah, I mean, if you
make
take
a mess.
RTS, I mean, our vision is simple. We want to make an impact to as many family businesses as we can globally,
Yeah,
and there's no full stop on that. There's no, you know, there's no end result. It's a destination
exactly.
that carries on and on and on. It's like end of the rainbow. You know, you can't catch it. It's going to keep moving. So
Yeah,
for
but
us,
if we were to link it,
yeah.
if we link it to keep it relevant to what we were just discussing, is how do we take that infinity goal and map it for a 5 year, a 3 year, a 2 year, and over the next 1 month as well, as we look at the situation.
Yeah. So why do so many business owners only have short-term goals?
There's many areas to look at it. If you were to look at it from a softer side of analyzing it, it could be anything to do with how their conditioning has been from their past environment. If you take somebody that's only running a shop and you ask them that, okay, how are we going to survive, or how are we going to create long-term goals, the mind is not trained to look at goals beyond the four walls of what their current paradigm dictates. So if you were to take somebody that's only working on a weekly basis, and they've never trained themselves to focus on what they want to achieve in 12 months, if you sit somebody in front of you and ask them what's your 12-month plan, that question has the ability to just send the worrying signals in their mind go firing, because they're just not accustomed to looking at life in that way. They're trained to firefight. It's all about firefighting. Okay, we receive XYZ consignments, we need to operationally look at this, our manufacturing plants need to produce this over the next 5 weeks, or 3 weeks, or 5 days rather, sorry. But what do we then achieve over the next 5 years in terms of our growth plans? And therefore, the reason why leaders and boards set small short-term goals versus long-term goals is because ultimately they're not training themselves, nor are they understanding the process of why it's required to set big goals and long-term goals and link the strategy to it, and then break it down into small chunks that formulate the step-by-step actionable working process on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, however you want to look at it.
So is it more just about, again, making them more aware, asking the right questions, facilitating this type of discussion with owners so they can build that out? Yeah, even though they
Let's
could be,
do
even though they could be thinking short to medium term, in which in some cases medium term is a year, and not looking beyond that. So can I ask you, going back, I want to link it back to purpose for a second, and then it links in with long-term goals and vision. Whether it's a husband and wife team, or whether it's a first generation entrepreneur with their children, next generation, whether it's multiple, a large family working together in a business, whatever context, how do you align? How do you align your purpose with other family members or other board members or other partners in your company? How do you align your purpose with multiple people? Because if my purpose could be different to your purpose, and surely that would have an impact on the direction people are taking.
absolutely. I mean, ultimately, if we were to go scientific into this, and we understand what actually drives us as human beings, the needs for all of us are the same. And I'm going to digress from where we are at the moment on the subject, because I want to explain the scientific way of looking at this and approaching it. If we take 5 or 6 or 5 board members, family members, however, whatever the structure is not important. But if there's a variation in it, the only way to align everybody's values is one, to understand that you're not going to achieve 100% alignment in the scenario. So you've got to be flexible about having this, that you know, it's not going to always work my way, it's not going to be in everything that I say. There has to be the flexibility to accept every other board member's views, every family member's views, because internally they all have their own purpose, they all have their own intentions, they all have their own vision. They're individual people, they may be part of a family, but they're still individual people. So we link it to what I call the 6 human needs. One, everybody wants certainty. So as a board, how are we going to create the certainty through our business and for our family? The second one is uncertainty and variety. What are we doing to create this aspects of uncertainty and variety that we need in life? Number three goes to significance. How is every member feeling significant in a time when the business may be down or the family is not working too well due to any given situation? The fourth one goes down to connection and love. Are we building the connection? Are we building the love? Because sometimes purpose can be based on connection and love. Why we want to achieve something? Because I want to give back to my family, as an example. And then the other one is growth. How are we as a family, a business, a board growing? And the last one is contribution. What is the family, what is the business doing to contribute back? What are you individually doing as contribution for your business? So when you look at all these 6 areas holistically, that can be dissected in further details through the consulting process, through a facilitation, through a coaching program. And then we merge all the points that come out of it in terms of key values, key ideas.
I heard there's a seventh come out recently in the lockdown situation. It's called Wi-Fi.
Which, it depends which Wi-Fi. You know, the one that you're married to with the two eyes, or is it the internet connection facilitating this one?
All right, that's definitely a different type of joke, but I get it. So with the sort of Maslow's hierarchy model or six
Yeah.
human needs, what we're saying is there can still be one direction that we're all going in together, but on the journey, there could be subcomponents of the purpose of what's important for each individual.
Yes.
That's what we're saying, yeah?
Yes.
So we could say, like in RTS, we have our strapline, One Family, One Legacy, which is our purpose is to help as many families as possible create a legacy and
Yeah.
keep that harmony and unity. However, the journey, different partners in our firm will be stimulated by growth or security or variety of work or traveling or whatever it may be. Is that right?
Absolutely.
That could be a
Yeah.
way of
So
looking at it.
yeah. So to nail it again further down is like I'll use myself as a case study. Is where I come from the family business background as well, and because my journey has had so many rocky roads to where I am today, and speed bumps, metaphorically used, my purpose is purely based on the fact that I'm not driven by values of financial attachments. My purpose and values are driven by where can I add more value to the family, and what can I do so that they don't go through the same process in 5-10 years time that we went through as a family, because I see the repercussions on a negative scale.
I understand. So tell me, Uday, more about, and the viewers, about the coaching, maybe I can call it process or methodology. Let's say someone's watching this right now and they want to engage with you. They're a next gen member, you know, they're looking for someone who they could have a private confidential conversation with on a regular basis. They don't have a vision, they don't have a purpose, they don't have clarity on really where they're going. They have some other issues and challenges. What's typically the model that you work with? What's the coaching process? You know, is it for a short-term basis? Do I need a coach for life? How does it work?
I wouldn't say you would need a coach for life, but again, step by step, analyzing it. The first and the foremost process is let's understand what it is that the individual wants. Why are you seeking coaching? What are some of the areas that you feel that you need the coaching on? Is it business upskilling? Is it just life in general? How deeply rooted are these negative paradigms that we've embedded that are stopping us from achieving what we want to achieve? Is it goal identification? So the first process is on when enrolling anybody, I will have I'll probably do a 1 to 2 hour, what I call a prime session, where I get to understand where the individual is and what's happening with this individual. Why, over the last 7-10 years, what's happened that's got you to where you are today, and then understanding what it is that you want to achieve. And then we go into the step-by-step processes of understanding and setting goals and why it's important to set goals, linked with a couple of other toolkits that I've personally created, like dashboards, which I call life board, that's focusing on around 12 spheres of life. Once we create the goals, we then look at the step-by-step process over 12 weeks on understanding what's not working for you based on past conditioning, eliminating the conditioning while working on creating compelling goals, visions, and purposes, and then using the toolkits and the techniques to now get rid of what's not working in the past, formulating new plans and processes and vision documents and life goals, and creating a mother vision that we use as a decision making framework based on the 12-step process that I coach. So very quickly, to take you through the process, is all the way from identifying goals to understanding what paradigms are, which is a group of habits that we mentally use in terms of so-called speed governors in our minds, as you may use. um, Understanding the process of what the mind is, putting an image to what the mind is, so we can create some form of clarity on what we're working with. And then there's the whole steps of knowing why we go out to set big goals, but what happens during the process of setting big goals, and as we set to achieve them, we hit something called a terror barrier. We get scared, we go back, we start dialoguing in our minds, and 99.9% of the times the conversation that we have with ourselves is negative. We use our conscious faculties that we have in our mind against us, and therefore, long story short, we don't get to where we want to be. So the coaching process through one of the programs that I have called Thinking into Results is all about eliminating these blockages and working on using tools and techniques, but also prompting the right thought processes and understanding how the mind works to be able to get to where you want to be. And we map this out not just long term, but this is, I'd say, extra long term, because we create goals that are going to take up the rest of your life. And as we do that,
is there evidence that all this works?
yes, I have. I've got past client testimonials. Very famous, figures out there have gone through the coaching process. To name a few, you've got Mother Teresa. As you mentioned, I've been coached by Tony Robbins, and now Tony Robbins has coached the likes of Mother Teresa, Bill Clinton, Nelson Mandela. Actors, big names out there, and the results can be
that have all
varied.
used the same process that you've been certified on. Is that right?
Yes, so Bob Proctor's material is different, Tony Robbins' material is different, but the underlying philosophies are the same. And the reason why I'm looking at exploring 2 to 3 different techniques and tools that 2 3 different big names out there use is because I want to see what's the underlying philosophies of all the tools and the techniques used. Because as we go back to it, it's linking it back to Maslow's hierarchy of the 6 human needs, and how we approach it is all tailor-made to the individual's needs. I mean, that would be something that would require probably another 3 sessions to get into.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, depending on the feedback, and whoever's watching, don't forget to put the comments below. Subscribe to the channel, hit the like button. Let's get word out there for what Uday's doing, and leave your comments. Let us know if you'd like to hear more about some of the other modules or steps that Uday's already mentioned. So maybe moving on from here, what are some of the major differences that you see between established family businesses, and their next generation, versus maybe just a first generation entrepreneur who's building a startup or a small business? What are some of the things that you've noticed as core differences when it comes to coaching or facilitation?
From a business perspective, you can link it to capital. From a softer perspective, it can be anything to do with confidence, it can be anything to do with moral support, it can be anything to do with how you even approach it as an individual. If you take big next generation members in big families, I mean, I'm happy to say that I can sit in both these chairs today talking about it, because I have come from that background where everything is a possibility. And then I've gone over and ventured out into myself, going from a startup to trying to get to where we were as a family. So the mindset is a key aspect, and you can definitely have the support by creating positive peer groups if you're in a family business. And as you know, family businesses always have bigger advantages in terms of borrowing power, reputation, the ability to create distribution networks because of buying power, supply power, the relationships, you name it. From a startup's perspective, you've got to build all of that up, and it's going and chartering yourself and putting yourself in a situation that's completely out of the unknown for you. And as we understand how the mind works, when we venture into areas that we call the unknown, we're massively stepping into uncertainty, and that creates a cocoon effect, because now the mind, the energy that we use is totally strapped towards worrying about how we can do it, what's going to happen, where's the money going to come from. And this is the classic trap that next generation members, be it venturing into startup companies, or be it venturing into creating a new business even under the umbrella or a holding structure for family businesses, it is a very scary thing. That's why it's very difficult, and therefore the support that you get from a family business will still give you a 20, 30, 40% boost morally, so you can be able to achieve, versus going out and venturing into creating a company for yourself and totally tackling complete new areas, building new relationships, overcoming your paradigms of the mind of how you're going to deal with your clients and potential clients saying no to you. How do you build your relationships with banks? How do you really build your relationships with your customers? How do you build your relationships with your suppliers? These are big areas of unknown that startups will always face, and that has the possibility of sending the person back into a state where, oh, I can't do it, it's just too daunting, it's just too this, it's too that, and then now we have the ifs and the buts and the why nots, and I can't do
It's
this.
quite complex at the end of the day, isn't it? It's
Yeah, oh yeah, I mean, we can create another 1 month webinar around this, and
sure. So for now, if people want to reach you, down below, go into the description area. You'll see Uday's details there to contact him. If you're looking to get some coaching from him, if you're a next gen member, if you're a first generation entrepreneur, just even a family member, with all the chaos and all the crisis right now, and what's going on, you just may need someone that you can speak to on a regular basis and just what I call vomit and get clarity in your head. Some of you maybe in a lockdown situation right now in different homes. You haven't seen each other in one environment for quite a while now, for maybe a number of weeks, and maybe there's an opportunity to have some one-to-ones or even have some group sessions with Uday, even with us as RTS Global Partners. For any family boards out there or family members in a family business environment, we can do that for you. So let's try summarize, Uday, for the viewers, briefly, some take-home value. We're talking about having a compelling vision, yeah,
Yep.
Sort of your destination, know where you're going. Is that right? That's sort of
Yep.
one thing that people need to develop. You talked about purpose, which is why we're doing it. Maybe what's the underlying motive or reason of why are we going for that vision and going on that journey. You talked a bit about some of the distinctions briefly about vision, purpose, and maybe mission. We briefly talked about aligning family members. So there could be some commonality with the vision and the purpose, but there could be different human needs that each family member or people working together in a working environment may have. So each person's unique in their own right, and you're respecting that. But at the same time, they're all linked together with a common vision and purpose as a company or as a family. Is that, yeah?
Absolutely.
You talked about, it's not just about short-term goals, but getting the right facilitation, getting the right questions being answered to build medium, long-term goals as well in parallel with what's happening in short term, whether people are focused on survival and cash flow, but at the same time, not take our eye off the ball maybe with what we want to achieve long term at the same time. You talked a bit about some of the methods of coaching, even though it's complex. Maybe in future Q&As we can go through in a bit more detail. And maybe the last question I've got for you to summarize is, why have an external coach or a consultant? Why?
again, it's a very complex answer, but to keep it limited and to add maximum value for this call, it's basically very important to have a coach or an external consultant, because coaches and consultants are there to always improve you, upskill you, and objectively keep evaluating you as an individual, evaluate your business, go in and objectively look at functions of your business. So consultants, coaches, if I holistically look at it, one, you're prompted to upskill yourself as an individual. So from a leadership perspective, what are you consistently doing in terms of personal development, that you're able to create new forms of skills within yourself to boost moral at this point in time, as an example? So if you're a chairman of a company, are you learning new technology? I'll give you a classic example. One of the books that I've subscribed to all the clients that I'm working with at the moment is Think and Grow Rich. Now everybody knows about this book and everybody goes about talking about it, but how are you actually applying it to the current status of your mind? And one of the key factors in there is faith. So if you as a business leader can accept that, yes, these are all short-term limitations, and have faith in your long-term vision and have faith in your skills, you can translate that and relay that back to your teams. And through a consultant from the top, you're holding yourself accountable, and therefore you pass all that down to your businesses,
So
as
it
well
could
as
be
increase.
so it could be staying neutral. If someone has an outside view, it could be to drive accountability.
Yes.
Um, these are some of the benefits, yeah, which
Yeah. From
may not happen if you try to work it out all on your own.
Exactly, and again, so I've got 4 clients that I've just enrolled last week, on top of the ones that I work with. And why they've come onto the coaching process is because they have a fundamental question that they want to say is, with all the idle time that we have at the moment, how can we use you to make sure that we use this time in the most efficient and maximized way, not only just to create value now, but create value for the next 5 years, because we don't know what the long-term repercussions of COVID-19 is. So again, setting up goals, understanding that your mental blockages are not have got nothing to do with what it is today. It's all because of past thinking, past conditioning. And as a coach, we work on removing these blockages. And as a consultant, you can realign with your board on what the strategy is for the next 5 years based on what we have at this point in time. And how do we realign, objectively looking at it without having any emotional attachment? Because as you know, when we have more skin in the game, we become more emotional to what we want to do. So if a company's got a capacity to produce, let's say, 100 ton a day of any given product, and all of a sudden the production's gone down to 5 tons a day, it's a big thing to digest. And now the whole family, the board, are all worried about, hey, what are we going to do? How do we do this? So the consultant comes in, the coach comes in to say that, hang on a minute, let's take a step back, prompt the right questions, elevate the emotional state. Very critical thing is emotional state. The emotional state of the family and the individuals and the board members, the HODs, and use that as a stepping stone to now create a new roadmap, a new plan linked to the long-term vision that we work on before.
Excellent. Well, on that note, Uday, thank you very much for taking time to talk to us and go through this Q&A. I hope the viewers have enjoyed it, and most importantly, what's the one thing that you've got from this episode? What's the take-home value? Even if you get one thing, one question, one reminder, one thing that you need to work on, then you've got value from watching this. Don't forget to put it in the comments, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you on future episodes, not only for Family Business Experts, but also some of the other shows we've got on the channel. And Uday, thank you very much. Take care and stay safe.
Cheers. Thank you very much.